Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to another wonderfully exciting virtual tasting with the Virtual Tasting Society. I am Vadim Perlovsky. We are joined today, as always, with the Los Angeles Whiskey and Spirits Guild. David Donahue is the president of the guild. Would you like to say a couple of words?
I would, Vadim. Thank you very much. And as always, for all the hard work that you put into bringing the Los Angeles Whiskey and Spirits Guild all of these wonderful experiences. Thank you. It's great seeing a lot of familiar faces, some I have not seen in a while, so welcome back. For me, Vadim, you have been able to provide, not only myself, I should say, but a lot of us experiences with brands that we've never tried or never even heard of. So I am looking forward to this because it checks both boxes, and doing a little bit of research. This is going to be a fun evening. So welcome, everybody. Vadim will talk to you and share some best practices for tonight.
Thank you so much, David. Yeah, we're excited to introduce the group to a brand that I've been following for a couple of years, but I have not dove deep into it. And as we always do, we're going to dive deep, ask some questions, learn all about the brand, and of course, taste some fantastic expressions tonight. Joining us tonight for Loch Lomond is Mitch McDonald and Forbes McMullin. So they both worked with the brand. So thank you very much to both of you for helping to put this on. We're excited to have you here. Welcome to the members, and of course, anybody who's new here for the first time, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. These tastings wouldn't be possible without you. A couple of housekeeping things. We are here to ask questions. This is a two-way conversation, so please participate in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, share some tasting notes, what have you. All we ask is that we're respectful of each other. So if you're not talking, keep yourself on mute. If I see that you're not muted and you're not talking, I will help to mute you. We just don't want to have background noise and people talking over each other. And it happens. We've seen it. So we just want to keep it nice and smooth and flowing. But other than that, please participate. That's why we're all here. We're here to ask questions, get nerdy, learn, and geek out. But without further ado, Mitch, do you want to introduce yourself, introduce the brand?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. Really excited to be here. Vadim, really appreciate you working with me to get this set up. I've got some really incredible single malts ahead of us for this evening, and we're fortunate to have Forbes with us as well, because he's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure we're all going to have a great time. I'll probably let Forbes do most of the driving, but I'm kind of the local guy. So if anyone has like specific questions to where you could find these, or some of our more high-profile accounts that we partner with more often than not, I'm here to help share that information along the way. But once again, thanks for having us. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mitch. We have a really fantastic lineup today that we're really excited to dive deep into. I guess our first question generally, and Forbes or Mitch can address this, is what order are we going to be tasting in?
Well, I would suggest, Vadim, maybe we start off with the original and then just sort of work our way up. We could go through, if we start from youngest to oldest, I think, maybe that might be the way to do it with the original, and then go through. Looks like we have two of the open special editions. Mm-hmm. So, then those sort of would sort of fall in line next, and then in the 12. And then I guess the 18, and then the 20. Okay. And then I guess maybe we finish up with the with the special bonus bottle you got there.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we'll do the original, the open 2020, the open 2021, 12-year, 18-year, 20-year, which is also the open special, which we're really excited to try, and then the single cask 15-year-old at cask strength. So we'll go low to high ABV and pretty much follow the age order.
Okay. For
anyone following along. I did read in the notes that I believe one of the special open ones had a hint of peat in it, or can you talk to that at all? Are any of these going to have peat in them?
I mean, nothing's going to be overpowering. I can tell you that. We're not going to be talking about any sort of octomore strength here tonight. And there's going to be some hints of some peat. I mean, you'll be able to taste some in the 18 for sure, but certainly, that's the one good thing with this. You're going to find a real nice balance with the peat that's in there. It's not going to be overpowering, but you'll be able to certainly pick it up on some of these SKUs, some of these marks.
Fantastic. And I do know of what I've read is Loch Lomond has quite the wealth of options of the whiskeys they produce, and then I'm excited to have you talk about that. So I don't want to step on your toes. I know that's
Oh,
a
no worries.
fun
No worries.
topic to discuss.
I mean, as far as the way you guys usually do these, with it online, I mean, it's, it's easy for me to like, go share my screen and, and go through some visuals, or I can talk through it, whatever. What do you guys prefer?
You can do a little bit of both, as long as we don't get stuck on a slide somewhere, and as whatever comes natural, we're cool with either way.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine kind of talking through it. I mean, they're more sort of designed for, for sales meetings and so forth, but certainly sometimes it helps to have a little bit of a.
Yeah, you're welcome to share them. We're always happy to
Okay.
see some fun facts and images, and always welcome.
Okay.
Should we pre-pour these, or should we wait as we go?
You can wait. I guess no reason to. You can do whatever works best. So maybe just pour them as we go along.
Okay, fantastic.
All right.
Yeah, most of the members here usually come prepared with 6 or 7 glasses.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, let me know if I'm going to try sharing my screen here. Let me know when that goes through.
Beautiful. It looks great.
Okay, great. Well, Vadim, as you mentioned, my name's Forbes McMullin. I am VP of Sales for Loch Lomond Group. I actually run our U.S. business. This is now my 6th year with the company. Loch Lomond Group purchased both the Loch Lomond and the Glen Scotia distilleries from the previous owner, I guess about 7.5 years ago. So for whatever reason, the previous owner, older gentleman, was very happy just kind of keeping the brands for the most part, based over in Europe. I know France was always one of the big markets in addition to the UK, but when Loch Lomond Group came in, I guess, like I mentioned back in 2014, one of the things they wanted to do was bring the brands to the US and have them directly available from the distillery. So, Loch Lomond Distillery dates back to 1814, so over 200 years old. So there's obviously a lot of history with it. A lot of people are familiar with the distillery, but it's really just the last 5 years or so that the brands have been available, directly from the US. So even though there's a lot of history with the brands and the distillery, there's not so much the history here in the US. So, we're still fairly new. Blue Ridge, we came on board with Blue Ridge, which is who Mitch is with. They're our importer. Came on board with them at the beginning of the year and couldn't be happier with the partnership we have going on with them. But if you look at this first slide, so I mentioned, Loch Lomond is the name, Loch being the Gaelic word for lake. So this here is a picture of Loch Lomond or Lake Lomond. It's the largest lake in Scotland. I know this isn't the most picturesque day, when you look at it, sort of what you think of with the weather in Scotland, but it's a really big tourist destination, kind of comparable to our Lake Tahoe. So you can see there's mountains around, so there's lots of hiking, there's some great golf, there's skiing in the winter. It sits on the whole western part of the lake is part of a national park. So it's a really beautiful part of the country. And the distillery is on the south bank of the lake, and it's about 40 minutes or so from Glasgow. So it's a Highlands, it's considered a Highlands region distillery. So, a couple key points I just wanted to touch on with this, and some of the things that really make it unique. First of all is our history, as I mentioned, going back to 1814, so over 200 years old. So, we really have a lot of great heritage with the brand. And next is craft. We're going to talk about some of the things that we do differently with this. We've gotten some of the best scores and ratings across the Scotch industry, and there's a reason behind that. We do things differently. We have different sort of assets and tools at our disposal that really help us create some superior scotches, which I'll talk about. We do have some of the best scores. As a Scotch, we really there are a couple things. We look at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. I know that's obviously big out in California, but now that has sort of taken on, a much bigger sort of level where it's not only the biggest and most well-respected, international spirits competition in the US, but globally as well. So we have done some major accomplishments in that with all of our Loch Lomond portfolio, of which we're very proud. And then finally, which we'll talk about, is our pricing. We're priced very competitively, and I know that's obviously important for the consumer. So if you look at sort of this picture, you're going to see our core portfolio, which is the Loch Lomond Original, the Loch Lomond 12, and the Loch Lomond 18. And then obviously tonight we're going to be going through some of our special limited editions that we do, because about 5 years ago, maybe it wasn't even 5, maybe 4 years ago, we signed a partnership with the Royal and Ancient, which is sort of like the PGA of the UK, where we came on as the exclusive spirit sponsor for the British Open. So now everything that we're doing with Loch Lomond is tied in with golf. So that's really been a big part of our new identity. So, you know, these some of these limited editions that we're going to be tasting through tonight, you know, we release these, you know, on different years, and you know, based on where the British Open is going to be played. We brought on board some professional golfers as brand ambassadors. So, you know, you might, if you're familiar with golf, you might be familiar with a couple of the names here with whom these special editions are affiliated, such as Colin Montgomery and Darren Clark and so forth. So, you know, you're going to be tasting through some of that. But, you know, getting back to some of the things that really make us special and us unique, you know, starting off with our fermentation. You know, when it comes to Scotch, average industry standards is about 48 hours. And we do now, we're doing almost, we do double that now. We were up to 92 hours. And now most recently, when I had a meeting with, we did a meeting with our master distiller a couple of weeks ago. He said we're now up to 96 hours, our average. So we're doing twice what the average is. We're 2 days is average for fermentation. We're doing double that, 4 days. And you can see here, this is going to help result in a brighter and a fruitier distillate. Next, as far as filtration, or I guess non-chill filtration is concerned, I'm sure most of you guys are all familiar with this, but for those of you that aren't, if you put Scotch into a glass and add ice, and it has not been chill filtered, it's going to release these fatty acids and these proteins, and that are going to cloud up the Scotch. So what a lot of Scotches do is they'll chill the Scotch down to about 0 degrees Celsius, which is, you know, the same temperature where water freezes, and filter out those fatty acids, proteins, and esters. And then, you know, basically that way, when you add your ice, it doesn't cloud up. But also, those are some ingredients that really make a Scotch. So the real whiskey people, you know, I'm sure like you guys, don't want those removed. So we're very proud of the fact that we don't chill filter anything other than our original, which is the first one we're going to taste through tonight. And that's the only one that's actually 80 proof. Everything else is going to be 92 proof and above. Next, we're the only distillery in Scotland that makes both blends and single malts under the same roof. I think at last count, there were close to about 130 single malt distilleries in Scotland, but only 7 grain distilleries. So we're the only one that makes both. So that gives us the capability to make you know, blended scotches in one part of the distillery, and then also single malts on the other side. We also have a coffee still that we use to make coffee malt. We have 2 different types of pot stills. If you look at this picture, you'll see the one in the upper right-hand corner, which is sort of the traditional swan neck shape. And then on the one in the upper left, we have what we call our Lomond still, which is more of kind of a hybrid between a column still and a pot still. This, as you can see here, it's got a long sort of cylindrical neck that allows us to basically distill at a much higher ABV. I think it's got 17 different layers of plates in that. And some of the scotches that we make we use one of them, some we use both, some we use the other. So, you know, it's a combination. So it really helps us make some really interesting single malts. I think at last count, we were able to produce like 11 or 12 different single malts. And then, you know, in addition to having the coffee still and then the column stills for the blends, we have 4 different types of stills here. So, you know, Loch Lomond has been written up as one of the most, actually the most dynamic distillery in Scotland because of these 4 different types of stills. And then finally down there, you can note that we're one of only 4 distilleries with an on-site cooperage. So again, when you're talking about over 130 distilleries in Scotland, only 4 of them have a cooperage on site. So we have 7 or 8 guys at any given time that are reconditioning, refurbishing, decharring, recharring our barrels. I think they do up to close to about 10,000 barrels a year. So that gives us a huge advantage because it gives us the ability to tailor our barrels, and as important as the distillation process is, and some of the things that we do with the longer fermentation and so forth, aging process is equally as important. So by having this cooperage on site, it really gives us the ability to tailor our barrels for our specific needs. We're able to, like I said, recondition them. The vast majority of what we receive are used bourbon barrels. The last time I was sort of poking around over there, I noticed a lot of Jim Beam and Jack Daniels, and there are some Maker's Mark that I saw. So these are the barrels that we're bringing over after these bourbons use them, because you guys sure know that bourbon barrels have to be new. They can only use them once. So once they're done with them, they sell them to us, and we're able to really use them for a long time, especially if they're taken care of well through coopers like we're able to. So these are some things that really make us unique and give us some really great advantages over the competition. So without waiting any further delay, we're gonna start off with this Loch Lomond original. So as I mentioned, when it comes to scores, I mean, what we sort of benchmark ourselves with this is the Glenlivet Founders Reserve. There's a no age statement on this, but on average, it's anywhere from 5 to 8 years old. This is our entry level single malt Scotch. We have this usually priced right around $29.99, which is about $10 a bottle less than the Glenlivet Founders Reserve. So this is just sort of a great way for some people to sort of delve into the single malt category. And as I mentioned, this is the only one that we do chill filter. It's the only one that's 80 proof. This has been very popular with mixologists, where in the past, if they were to use like a blended Scotch to make a rusty nail or something like that, they can now bring in and add a single malt as opposed to a blend, and really sort of improve the quality of the cocktail without having to increase their price. So this is something that's been great, because when we do sort of these study groups and we talk to people about why, if they've never had single malt Scotch before, the biggest issue always seems to be is price. So with the Glenlivet Founders Reserve, traditionally sort of at the floor level with $40 a bottle, this is able to bring that down, just under 30. So we're able to bring a lot of consumers that may never have tasted a single malt before. So if you want to start off with this one, I think this is just sort of a great sort of intro to sort of wet the palate a little bit, and just sort of get sort of prepared for some of the different ones we have coming down next. But you can see here, we have a rating higher than the Glenlivet Founders Reserve. You can see the notes on this, sort of a dark, warm, sort of leather, but also sort of a buttery taste to it as well. Sweet cereal. This is just a really nice sort of single malt to kind of get the motor running tonight here for the rest of the night. So is everybody?
Forbes, sorry to interrupt you. Could you share with us if the barrels that these are finished in or aged in?
These are all ex-bourbon barrels.
All ex. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
This is the smoke is very light. It doesn't give it a peat and I'm pretty sensitive to peat. It more like balances it out. It gives it depth, but not medicinal. This is very quaffable.
It is. And again, when you think about this at a $29.99 price point, it really over delivers. So I mean, it's you can see here we've got the carton with it. So it's it's a great great gift to have. It's just I think about 60% of single malts are purchased as gifts, especially as you go into the holidays here. So it's just nice to have something at this price point available, especially for sort of that novice single malt drinker.
Definitely. It's quite interesting.
Yes, I really think this is nice, and it's some people really, this ends up being some people's really one of their favorites, believe it or not. I mean, I certainly like some of the other ones we're gonna be tasting through tonight, but for this where this is priced, you really can't beat it at a $29.99 price point. Especially putting this in a cocktail, I think it really, like I said, it ups the game of any drink recipe by having a single malt as opposed to a blend.
Yeah, one of my secret weapons is I like to make a gosh, what is the dude drink? It's vodka, coffee liqueur, and cream.
White Russian.
White Russian. So I do a white Scotsman, and I put like a nice Scotch, usually a blended Scotch or something with or if I can afford it, a single malt with a little bit of peat to it, just to give it balance. And
Right.
that I could see this going so well with that. A little bit of coffee, a little bit of heavy cream. Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. Oh, before we get further ahead, can I just curiosity? I want to know. You said the Loch Lomond group bought the Loch Lomond distillery. Was it the Loch Lomond group before it bought the distillery?
No, it was a new company that was created called the Loch Lomond Group that bought both distilleries from the previous owner. I want to say, I think his last name was Duncan or something like that.
Mhm.
But it's now owned by the Loch Lomond Group.
Okay.
It owns both Loch Lomond, and our other distillery is Glen Scotia, which is one of the 3 Campbelltowns.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, we're just tasting through. There's too many to go through otherwise. If we try to combine the two, and we have plenty of great Loch Lomond's to do tonight, and then Glen Scotia on another night, because they're certainly very, very different in different regions and so forth, and they really kind of complement each other well. But Loch Lomond, being a distillery that makes both blends and single malts, does a lot more volume. I think we're up to about 30 million liters of production a year at this. So it's a bigger distillery, mainly because of the blend, the grain distillery, the production there.
And it's interesting, Loch Lomond, like you said, does a variety of different whiskeys all
Yes.
in-house, which is very
Yes.
unique, very interesting.
It really is. So I mean, we're just sort of scratching the surface tonight with this, and there's other things that other different marks that we're looking at maybe bringing in eventually as well. So, as I mentioned, with Blue Ridge being our importer just from the beginning of the year, we certainly don't want to overwhelm Mitch with too many SKUs all at once, and having to go through them all and so forth. So we're trying to sort of narrow the scope a little bit with what we have. While certainly, doing our annual releases with the golf British Open editions, but there's a lot more different things to come down the pipe, and we're coming out with some older aged SKUs this year, both a 21 and a 30 and a 45 that'll be available later on this year. We have another whole 2 other collections of single malts. I mean, Loch Lomond, as I mentioned, the largest lake in Scotland. It's so big that there's actually a series of islands that are in the lake, and we have a bunch of different other single malts, or a couple that we name after the islands. So those are some things we might look at, where we do have one that's called Inchmowan, which Inch being the Gaelic word for island means Isle of Peat. So that's got obviously is our sort of peaty one that we make at Loch Lomond Distillery. And then the other one being called Inchmuirin, which means grassy isle, is going to be a little more sort of fruity and floral, I guess, compared to the Inchmowan. But so we have some different ones that we're going to be gradually releasing. We have a value added pack actually that's on its way over right now with our Loch Lomond 12. That's going to feature a 50 milliliter bottle of each of those, both the Inchmuirin 12 and the Inchmowan 12. So we're going to be certainly adding to our core lineup here gradually. And then as I also mentioned, we have a coffee still. So really the only 2 distilleries in the world that have something like comparable to what we have is Nika. And I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with the Nika coffee malt. Well, we have the exact same thing, but we have to call it a single grain by default, because coffee malt is not one of the, at least not right now, one of the specifications that the Scotch Whisky Association allows. And then obviously we have some blends as well. So we're really really able to make some really unbelievable an unbelievable variety of scotches across the board with the 4 different types of stills. And then by having the cooperage, just sort of as the icing on the cake, with really sort of making us the full, the full all around, dynamic distillery with what we're able to do under that one single roof.
Forbes, a question about the cooperage.
Yes.
Are you guys aging all of your wood? Are you sourcing it? Are you felling the trees? Are you aging it on site? Because and if you could talk about that a little bit, I'm always very curious about the wood.
Well, as I mentioned, we get the majority of all of our barrels are coming over from the US.
Okay.
So, these are all, bourbon barrels, the majority of them. We have
So
some.
you're refinishing in there. Gotcha.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's one of the things we're able to do at the on-site cooperage. So, I think we were the first cooperage that had what's called like a decharring machine. It looks like sort of like a little telephone booth where the barrel goes in there, and it's got these automatic, real, sort of high-end Brillo pad type of things that scrape and scrub the inside of the barrel and, get rid of all of the previous finish. And then we're able to decharge, so that dechars it. And then we, put it through like sort of a flamethrower type of mechanism. And then we have different levels of fire that we do that. So we can control, the new sort of char level on the inside of that. And I mean, it's a real science with what these coopers do. It's actually, it takes them, it's a 4-year apprenticeship, and it seems like it's kind of a profession that's passed down by generation. But, I know right now we have one apprentice that's there. So a younger gentleman, and, and it's a 4-year process while he's learning all of the, all sort of the intricacies of the profession. I mean, there's just a lot to it. I mean, there's a lot of science, involved with this, obviously. And, it's very technical. So, I mean, I was really impressed the first time I went there, and, whenever people now, visit the distillery, it really seems like the cooperage is one of the highlights, just because, people aren't used to seeing that on site at a distillery, at least not in Scotland. As I mentioned, there's only 3 other distilleries over there besides us to have it.
And do you have a wet barrel program where you're getting Oloroso, sherry, butts or something like that, and then aging in those?
Yes, I mean, we do more of the sherry at Glen Scotia. So that's where we do, we have more, PX and Oloroso sherry finishes that we use the butts for that, as opposed to at Loch Lomond. Loch Lomond is mainly, American oak and that we use in these ex-bourbon barrels.
Thank you.
So when you're rechar, dechar, that sounds like the Jim Swan approach. Did he have a hand in this, or are you just adapting based on the popularity?
I don't know if he was the one that sort of initiated the process.
Yeah, I think he's kind of the godfather of the rechar,
Okay.
dechar toast.
Then I'm sure he probably had something to do with that, especially as I mentioned from, what I've heard, us having the first sort of machine that does this. But it's certainly, each time you dechar, you're going a little bit, deeper into the wood. And, you can only do that so many times before there's no grain left in the wood. But, in talking with these coopers, if you really take care of a barrel, and it's, you really are doing all the right things with it, you can get, up to 40 or 50 years of good use out of it. And you can definitely, recycle them through the dechar and the rechar process several times. Not too many. I mean, it's not something you can just do indefinitely. Like I said, I think maybe three times is the limit, if I remember correctly. One of you may know and be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but but certainly there's just so much that goes on with these barrels, and by having these experts on site to make sure that we're taking the proper care of these and maximizing their life, their lifespan is really, like I said, something that really gives us an advantage.
So are you also toasting when you shave?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Shave, toast, rechar. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes sense. Fantastic. So, and you're saying Loch Lomond focuses mostly on ex-bourbon, whereas Glen Scotia does all the wine finishes, right?
Yeah, we do a lot more of the sherry finishes are at Glen Scotia. I mean, we do the cooperage that we use at Loch Lomond is for both distilleries.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have all the butts there, but I'm saying for what we use, those are mostly used to age the Glen Scotia.
Just looking at the color, the 18 and the 12, especially the single cask, they look a bit darker. They look like they've got more than just bourbon to them.
The single cask is really dark, as I'm sure you've probably been able to see. I mean, that's certainly, you can certainly pick up that, in the visual as well as the taste.
Fantastic.
So next we're going to go on to the British Open Special Edition. So it's the one, I'm going to skip a couple ahead here just so you can Actually, I don't have that one because the one that we're gonna taste tonight is the one from the 2019. As you guys probably know, there was no British Open last year due to COVID. So we're going to be tasting through tonight through the 2021, both the special edition and the course collection, as well as the 2019. So that's the one with the green.
The one that I labeled as 2020 is going to be the 2019. Okay.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Fantastic.
So these are kind of, this one's kind of like it kind of falls in between the original and the 12. You know, as far as the fact that it is 46 proof, 9-chill filtered, but there is no age statement on it. So it's not, you know, so price wise, it falls in between our original and our 12. So as I mentioned, with our original being at $29.99, our 12, which I'll talk about shortly, which is $39.99. This is going to retail around $34.99. So this also is specifically used. We use our Lomond stills for this. So that's something that's unique to this. But then when we taste the next one, the 2021 special edition, that's a combination of the two. So as I talked about, you know, the different, you know, sort of the different variables here with the two different types of pot stills and being able to use sometimes specifically one, sometimes specifically the other, sometimes a combination of the two. Well, this one, as I mentioned, is specifically the Lomond stills. So you're gonna pick up you know, certainly some different notes on this one than we do on the next one. This is going to be, I mean, I think, you know, pear is something that comes out with this, a little fruity sweetness with this one. As I mentioned, no age statement on it, but it is non-chill filtered, 92 proof, and really just an unbelievable single malt. Again, at this price point, you're not going to find anything else, you know, really, I think of this quality at this price. And this is something that we do through Colin Montgomery, who is, as I mentioned, who's actually our first brand ambassador that came on, probably the most famous Scottish golfer. And then certainly one of the nicest guys I've met. He's really a super guy, and you know, just, you know, it's a little frustrating to me because I'm a golfer, and I used to have to practice like crazy, you know, to even, you know, be somewhat presentable on the golf course. And this guy is just a complete natural. Like, he doesn't have to practice. He was just born a very gifted, unbelievable golf player. And you know, it certainly makes me a little bit jealous. But he's very, very humble, very modest. But he's a hell of a golfer, a great guy. And this is this and the next one we're going to taste are both have his signature on it. Is the Colin Montgomery Open Special Edition. So like I said, this is the 2019, and this was the 2019 British Open. So 2 years ago was over in Northern Ireland. So it was the first time, I want to say, they'd had a British Open there, and close to maybe, you know, around 50 years. So it was certainly special to have it at Royal Portrush up on the very northern tip of Ireland.
Forbes, I have a question, if I may, please.
Yep.
What was the motivation for the brand to partner with golf, well, and with that sport?
Well, I think that there was an opportunity, like, you know, Glenmorangie they'd had a partnership with them for a while, and we heard that they were maybe not going to be continuing it. Our CEO is a scratch golfer. So, you know, he certainly.
I'm not a golfer. I apologize. I don't know what that means.
Oh, it means it means you play even par. You don't have a handicap. Like all professional golfers are scratch, or some are like, you know, +2, +3 because they need to, because they consistently shoot under par. So our CEO is a very good golfer, loves the game, and when he heard the opportunity about a potential partnership with the Royal and Ancient, I think he decided to jump on it, because, you know, when it comes to Scotland, you know, golf and Scotch are really the two most famous exports of that country. I mean, you know, that's the two go hand in hand. So we really, you know, thought as a company that would be a great way for us to sort of, you know, get, you know, sort of make our mark as the sort of the new golf, you know, Scotch out there, and to be able to do a bunch of things with some of the professional golfers, to be able to tie in everything with golf, to be able to get TV advertising, during the British Open, things on the Golf Channel, things to really differentiate us. And, especially we knew that, golf is very big over here in the US. And as a new brand, we really wanted to sort of figure out ways that we knew we could maximize our exposure. We wanted to be, that 150-pound fighter, that punching above his weight class, fighting in the heavyweight battle. So we wanted to really kind of, really sort of overdo ourselves and really sort of make a name for ourselves immediately. And we put us on the international stage. And this certainly seemed like the best way to do it, while being able to, be tied in with a game that our CEO and a lot of other people in our company truly love.
So I'm not sure if Mitch, if you're following the questions in the chat, but there's a couple that have come up, and one of those is from Jamshid. And he was asking, what is your policy on coloration?
We don't do any color. We don't do any coloration on it.
By the color of this expression, I think it's fairly easy to say that they don't color their drinks. They would not have released something this light. If they
No, we don't. No.
There's a couple of really good questions in the chat, but yeah.
I guess I don't see that when I have my screen up, but yeah, if you want to go ahead and fire away, please do.
Yeah, Mark asked, you mentioned the flavors that come out of different barrels. What are your thoughts on impact of local climate, terroir per se?
Well, I mean, for me, I don't have I guess I'm not, my palate's not quite that trained. What I can tell though, a difference is when I taste a Glen Scotia versus a Loch Lomond, because Glen Scotia, for example, is about 200 yards from the ocean, and it picks up a lot more saltiness. And I can certainly notice that. There are things I can certainly pick up on. When you have like a heavier or darker char in the barrel, in addition to the coloration, you're going to pick up like more sort of dark red fruit notes the more the barrel's been charred, versus sort of lighter fruits for the smaller amounts of time it's been charred. So there are things that I pick up just without even looking at the color of it. There are things I can just pick up sort of the taste with the finish being a lot longer. The longer it's been sitting in a barrel, the longer the finish is to me, and things like that. So if that makes sense.
Definitely. And there was a question earlier that I definitely don't want to skip over. I know that Adam, who's with Anna today, was very curious to know. You mentioned that there are 4 distilleries that have a cooperage on site. Do you know the other ones?
I know Balvenie is one of them.
Okay.
Because that's the only one, and this has come up. That's the only one I can think of, I can remember, because the other ones aren't really as well known. And I know a lot of people have been to the Balvenie and they've seen that, but off the top of my head, I can't remember the other 2.
Fantastic. Yeah, and a fun note on golf. I've heard a quote about describing golf. It's the only game where the whole point of the game is to play as little of the game as possible.
That's right. That's right. So you have more time to enjoy your drinks while you're playing. Exactly. But that's true. So you have the only game where the lowest score wins.
Yeah. This is definitely very different. It shows the breadth of the flavors you guys can do. This is really interesting.
Yes.
I got a minty quality to this.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more fun ones that I feel like is in the lineup that we've got with us tonight. And I don't know, I just can't help but feel like these annual releases, between the master distiller and master blender, they're just able to have a little bit more creativity with these, have a little bit more fun, do something different, kind of think outside of the box. So excited to try the next one as well.
Yes. Well, this next one, as I mentioned, is this year's special release. So this just actually hit the market a couple months ago. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with some of the global supply chain challenges that we're facing now, but freight and containers. There's a major shortage of containers and container vessels. And, tied in with Brexit, which went into effect at the beginning of this year, it's been really, really difficult getting, getting things shipped over in a timely manner, where it used to take 2 to 3 weeks from the time these containers left our distillery to the time they landed in New York. It's now taking 2 to 3 months. And then in addition to that, prices of anywhere from tripled to quadrupled. So it's been a very challenging year logistically for this. So, I mean, I think this was initially supposed to arrive in April or May, and I don't think it got here till like July, just because of all the holdups. But so I'm glad you guys have some of this, because it was we're certainly eagerly awaiting this. But as I mentioned, this next one, this open, is a combination of both of the pot stills. So both the unique, straight neck and the swan neck. So, there's going to be just different, because that's one of the questions a lot of people ask me is, if I'm going through like the 12 and the 18, they're like, is this 18 the same as the 12, but just aged, 6 years longer? Not at all. I mean, they're our 12 and 18 are totally different, where the 18 is distilled strictly in the Lomond stills, and the 12 is in both. And like, these are very different. Like, even though these are both, open to special editions, these last two that you've had, we use different stills, different, so there's just a totally different taste profile to it. I mean, to me, this has got a little more, caramel and toffee, to it, a little more red apple and vanilla. Where I mentioned
Well, just on the nose, Forbes, between
Yeah.
the 20 and the 21 are dramatically different.
Yes,
I think
they really
Anna
are.
And
Yeah.
a few other people said, kind of a gin-like, but then I think also Dano said pine, or echoed pine.
Right.
So it is from the two, they're really unusual. I mean, the
Yes.
difference is like, boom. Oh, I didn't expect
It
that.
is. And this is really the first time we've been able to taste the two of them side by side, because people, I think, just assume that each year it's sort of the same, and obviously they're not. They're different. So they're all they're generally the same in the fact that they're priced at the same price point at that $34.99, and there's no age statement on it, but there's still non-chill filtered, 92 proof. So there definitely is a difference in them. And I think we maybe bring in about 1,200 cases of this for the whole country. That's 6 packs. There's not a whole lot of it available, and we usually sell through it very quickly.
Well, it would be interesting. I'm sorry to step over somebody. The mouthfeel on this one and the taste is also completely different than the 20.
Yes,
Because this
definitely.
this is really nice.
They're completely different colors. So you mentioned that there are different stills that create these two expressions. What do they have in common, other than they're both single malt out of Loch Lomond? The same barrel?
I mean, as I mentioned, other than they're both about the same age. They're both non-chill filtered, but they're totally different different stills. So the different stills are certainly what give it the different taste profiles on it. I mean, they're both the only similarity is that they're both aged in the same casks. So
Okay, so it's the same cast.
Yeah.
Are you
yeah.
playing around with different kinds of barley at all, or is it all just buying the same barley that everybody else is buying?
We have all of our barley sourced up in the sort of like the Aberdeenshire, if you're familiar with that. It's up on the sort of the northeast, eastern part of Scotland, up pretty far north in the Highlands, just I guess maybe a little bit sort of southeast of Inverness. But that's where all of our peat is coming from for this. And yes, it's very it's very consistent. We use the same peat. We don't play around with that. I mean, as far as we don't want to have any sort of inconsistencies with that. So it all comes up from that same Aberdeenshire region.
Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of Scottish distilleries actually source their barley from Europe. No, very, very few actually have Scottish barley because it's
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
it's impressive.
Just to piggyback on some of those shipping delays that we've had, for those of you who are kind of enjoying this 2021 open release, it literally just hit shelves last week at all the major retailers in Los Angeles. So it's
Price point?
just got out.
The good thing is it doesn't, even though, it arrived after the open, it doesn't go bad, and it's just as good as it would have been a couple months ago. But yeah, we certainly would have liked to have had it here sooner, but it's sort of an extra sort of selling tool we have going into the holidays, which is nice. Normally we blow through it all by Father's Day, a lot of it by Father's Day leading up to the open, or at least go through a bunch of it then. But this year we're going to have it available a little bit longer. So to Mitch's point, it's still available now in September, where usually it isn't.
And I will also add to that something that Forbes may not know, because I just learned recently. I don't follow the PGA very much, but I learned that the young man who won the Open this year is from Pasadena, and one of the major retailers that you guys are all probably pretty familiar with, Mission Liquor. They took a pretty big position on the Open because of that, and I guess this kid who won the Open and his family are pretty excited to get their hands on a good amount of bottles. So that's kind
Mitch,
of.
do you have
Right.
a relationship with K&L?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Last time I was in town with Mitch, I guess back in June, we met with them. Yeah, they're one of our really good customers.
We hope to be doing a private cask with them later on
Yes.
this year.
That's where I got the value added pack last year, I believe, the 12-year-old with 2 minis.
Yep.
Such a great gift. Oh man.
We got more coming to those as well. As I mentioned, they're on the water, and hopefully they'll be here, before Christmas.
How hard is that to deal with at Forbes, where you and Mitch have, as brand ambassadors, kind of, trying to spread the word and the message about the brand, and these things are just stuck on boats?
It's really been challenging. I mean, before, up until I guess March, we had the tariffs on the single malt Scotch whiskey tariffs, 25%. So that was screwing up all of our pricing. And, and we were really, we didn't really want to make all the changes knowing that could change. So there's just, then as soon as we kind of, overcame that hurdle, we have all these freight problems right now. And, and again, I mean, even though the tariff's not there, freight is going through the roof, and it's kind of, not completely offsetting the savings with the tariffs, but it just seems like it's just been one thing after another. The last few years have just been really, really challenging with single malt scotches. And then, the dollar has been, unfortunately, it's been weakening against the pound. From when COVID, first came out, back in, I guess it was March of last year. I mean, the dollar is down about 20% against the pound. So, between the exchange rates, the tariffs, the freight, the delays, it's been a challenge, but really, it just shows how resilient single malt Scotch is, because I mean, it's really started to bounce back, especially after the tariffs, which, I mean, the freight issues aren't as bad as the tariff was. So, and hopefully that'll be something that's short-lived as well, where, things will eventually, once we kind of navigate our way out of all the COVID mess, where things sort of normalize a little bit. But it's been tough.
And how
Especially
much of the
when you
21 is coming over?
I'm sorry?
How much of the 21 is coming over?
So not, you mean the 21 that we're doing, I think, let me see. I think I have.
Like what the open edition that you're drinking right now?
Yeah, which one are you talking about? The
Yes.
21 year or the 2021 open edition?
21 open edition.
I
The
think
one
we
we're
have
drinking
12,
right now.
like I said, I think we have 1,200 cases of this coming out that
Okay.
just landed.
So a good amount.
Yes, good amount.
Thank you.
One of the opens was touted as being aged in virgin oak. Do you remember which one that is? I'm guessing it's the 2020 because it's so much lighter.
That could be. I can't remember off the top of my head with it. But I think that might be right, because yeah, that definitely is that's the lightest one you have there in front of you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
So that's an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
Virgin oak, not a lot of brands do that.
I'll tell you, the shipping delays are very challenging and very frustrating at times, but I live in Long Beach and I can walk outside and look at all the container ships lined up in the harbor.
Yes.
So It makes it a little bit easier to understand when you see it with your own eyes.
Dozens of them.
Yeah, the next time you're in Long Beach or even Huntington Beach for that matter, they're lined up all the way past Huntington. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I know there's not any scotch on any of those, but it still speaks to the
Well,
whole.
even in Seattle, where some of our members live, they have been staging these container ships around, into Puget Sound, around Whidbey Island,
Right.
and places that they never would stage them before. And people had never seen them anchored in those areas. And they're just like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, and the problem is once these container vessels land here, there aren't enough trucks to move them. I mean, one of Remy Cointreau is a big company, and I talked to one of their distributors a few weeks ago, and apparently Remy, at least as of a month ago, had 300 containers sitting on the dock in Newark waiting to get moved, and there's no trucks available to
I don't think it's a
transport.
trucking issue. I think it's a truck driver shortage.
It's everything. It's just there's personnel. I mean, it's just been sort of like a domino effect, and it's really been crazy. So
We have a few members with trucks, and we'd be happy to go over there and help.
yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
You may get some spillage issues though. Don't trust them.
Yeah.
I will say April to July is not that bad. We picked a single cask of scotch back in November of 2020. And we're hoping, fingers crossed, it's going to arrive end of October this year.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, so only a year. It's all good.
Yes. I know. Was everybody ready to move on to the 12 year next? All right. Well, this is one of my favorites, and I guess it's a lot of everybody's favorites, based on the ratings and scores that it has. Again, going back to that San Francisco World Spirits Competition. If you guys are familiar with that, I think there's about 45 judges on the panel, and they give out silver, bronze, gold medals. I guess some that don't medal at all. But if you have all 45 or 40, whatever it is, 45, 46 judges give a brand a gold, you get what's called a double gold if it's a unanimous decision. So I mean, that's a pretty big deal when you have all judges unanimously give a brand a double gold. And we have everything that we're tasting through tonight is a double gold with them. But this 12 that we're going to be tasting through is actually, if you go one step beyond that, it's called a platinum medal, which means that it's gotten a double gold 3 years in a row. So, and I think there's only 11 or 12 scotches that have ever received the platinum medal. So it's a big deal. So this 12 is really, I think, it's really special. And, again, keeping in mind, it's a $39.99 price point. Also, going back to that Jim Murray Whiskey Bible, it's got the highest score with a 93.5 of any 12-year. So this is really, I think, sort of a masterpiece, especially for a 12-year this is sort of what I sort of kind of always find myself going back to, whenever I just, don't really want anything, super old or super complex. But this 12, I think is just a perfect balance. And, again, like the other two special editions we've gone through, 46% ABV, aged in, we use aged in three different types of barrels for this. So this is just a really, superb. And so it's aged, in bourbon, refill, and rechar.
And is this where you're, and I apologize, I forget his name because I was reading up on the company before this, the master blender. Has he been in charge during that period of time?
Yes. So that's Michael Henry. So yeah, so he's been I want to say he's been around for about 15 years. So he was, with Loch Lomond before the current owners took over. So yeah, he is really the, kind of the wizard with this and everything that goes on at Loch Lomond.
I got to say, I taste, people on these scotches almost every day. And
Yeah.
It's interesting to, so many people, whether they're in the middle of their work day or what have you, they say, oh, just pour me the 18. And I'm always like, you really need to try the 12. Not to discredit the 18. It's a fantastic scotch, but man, this 12-year, I couldn't agree more with Forbes. Like this is my personal favorite of the core lineup, and this retails for $39.99. It's screaming deal. Like
Yeah,
I just can't say enough about it.
I agree. I mean, it definitely, it outperforms, 12-year-olds at twice their cost. And I'm sure you guys probably know which ones I'm talking about, but I won't mention them by names. It would be nice, but anyway, this is really just a absolutely phenomenal 12-year. And again, so we'll be tasting through the 18 here next, and and again, just going back, I mean, that's going to be totally different than this. So where we use both types of pot stills for this 12, the 18 is only the Lomond still. So it's just the things that we're able to do differently, and and you guys, I think, are witnessing that through tasting through these.
Forbes, one of the things you mentioned on the onset is that you have a 92-hour fermentation time. Is that the same throughout the entire lineup and all the SKUs?
Yes. And as I mentioned also, that's actually bumped up to 96 now is the average. So I don't want to shortchange us those 4 extra hours, because now we're, it really is.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody feel that?
Wait, get under that.
Everybody feel that? Hold
We're
on.
having an earthquake. We got to go.
Okay.
All right, I'm in Burbank. We haven't felt it yet.
Strong in Long Beach.
Yeah, in
Hold on
Burbank,
one
nothing
sec.
yet.
Yeah, nothing here yet for us.
Everybody okay over there?
Wow, that's the first time. That's the first time we got a notice on the phone saying earthquake alert.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
nothing
guys,
in Hollywood yet.
you guys are in the zone. I didn't feel anything in Burbank.
I got a little bit. It felt almost like a truck on the west side.
I thought it was the whiskey.
Okay, Mitch.
That'll get the adrenaline going, won't it?
Seriously.
Yes.
That'll
Good thing we have something to drink.
Yes.
The first thing I did was I took all my glasses and put them on the floor so they couldn't knock over.
Kate is very, very wise.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of this 12?
The 10 was very nice. The 12 is a step above. Like
It's earth shaking, I can tell you.
someone said, it was an easy drink,
Yeah.
nice and sweet and easy. Imagine what it would be at a bigger proof.
Right.
We got a big proof coming up.
That was
Good evening,
fun.
how are you?
I'm good. Had to check on the kids.
Totally fair. That was a pretty good shake down this.
They're the smartest ones. They're under the bed and I can't get them out.
Nice.
All right. Well, that was an exceptional dram.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
memorable, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that, Forbes, but that definitely left an impression.
Yeah, I definitely wanted. We were talking about. Mitch and I wanted to make that 12 very memorable. That's specially planned.
Hey, I'm just reading over here in the chat, guys. I apologize. I'm trying to keep up. The 21 is not sold out, as I mentioned. When I say 20-month, I mean the open 21.
Right.
Just hit shelves last week. Price point on that $34.99. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I'm imperative. Oh, it's like butter. Exactly. That's a descriptor for the 12-year. I like that, and I couldn't agree more. 4.6 Carson. Yeah, that was like I said, solid shake. But hey, I think we're good now, so that's good.
All right, we're good. Okay, well, next we're going to move on to the 18. And I hate sound like a broken record, but once again, we have the highest score with this in the 18-year category, the Jim Murray Whiskey Bible with a 95, double gold medal winner. As I mentioned earlier, this is probably going to be the peatiest of what we're going to taste through tonight. I mean, you're definitely going to be able to pick up some peat on this. And and again, just the fact that it's different stills. It's the Lomond stills exclusively for this, and not the swan neck that we use. So, as I mentioned, we're able to distill at a higher higher ABV out of those. You know, just some things that really make the Lomond still a little bit unique.
Forbes,
And this, yes.
do you have pictures of these stills? I know we're not sharing the screen anymore, but since we keep talking about them, I think if you have a picture, it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah, I thought on this one of these.
If not, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we had.
You were showing earlier, but we were kind of just talking. So
Yeah. I mean, if you
Okay.
could see this one, you know, in the upper left, that's what I'm talking about, the Lomond still. And I know it's sort of cut off, but it's about 15 feet tall, that column neck on it. So we're
is that a combination between a column still and a pot still?
I mean, that's really what it is. It's sort of a hybrid between, you know, the sort of the swan neck pot still that you see there on the right, the gentleman standing in front of, versus the Lomond still.
Any relation to Loch Lomond?
No, I just think that's what I think that's just what we initially called it when we, you know, I want to say also it was maybe like a Ross Dew or something, but it's you know, it's something that basically became synonymous with Loch Lomond. I think we're you know, one of the only ones that have this type of still in there, and certainly the only distillery with 4 different types of stills. So this is, you know, again, just something that really gives us some sort of uniqueness to what we're able to do here, and again, just differentiating between these, you know, these different ones we're tasting through, because you know they're very different with the, you know, with the stills and some of the barrels. We, you know, we use different barrels for this. This one, these were all hand selected, you know, more than 18 years ago. This is probably, you know, right around turn of the century. Our master cooper at the time was a gentleman named Tommy Wallace. So he was the one that sort of hand selected each of the casks for this 18. And unfortunately, we've really been, I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have, but this has really been in major high demand, especially out in California. I think somehow Costco caught wind of this 18 year, and you know, they've been using, you know, buying up a lot of it. I guess from what I hear, they're switching out their Glenfiddich 18 with Loch Lomond 18. So it's putting sort of a little bit of pressure on our supplies with this, because I mean, you know, 18, you don't have just unlimited supplies with it. And you know, a few years ago, we maybe would have thought that we'd be in good shape forever, but things are, you know, really starting to pick up with this brand. And you know, some of it's coming through with the British Open, and you know, a lot of people are just tasting, you know, like you guys taste it and find out how good it is, and then you know, see where it's priced. Where you know, sometimes you can buy, you know, 3 bottles of this at $89.99, you know, for 1 bottle of McMullin 18, and you know, and then all of a sudden you're off to the races with your sales. And that's sort of what we're seeing right now. I mean, pretty much, I'd guess probably 80% of what's coming into the US now in this 18 years is going out to California. So if you're looking for it, check Costco.
Although you will have to go to Northern California.
Yeah, I guess it's North. Is it all Northern Cal, Mitch, or some of it coming to Southern Cal now?
No, that's only Northern
That
California.
wasn't okay.
Come on, Mitch, what's up?
Yeah, Mitch, did you do that?
I mean, for what it's worth, I don't know whether we can keep up if both were to be going off at the same time.
Yeah, no, we
We can
can't.
go to some bottle shops around here.
Oh, trust me, there's plenty of bottles. You can get this in Southern California, absolutely.
Yeah.
Without question.
And it's very fair. I'm seeing it for what, $82?
Yeah, I mean, you're usually going to see it around anywhere from 84 to 89, just kind of depending on the margin that the store is.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
just out of curiosity, I see the 18 for $80-ish, 82, but I see a 17 at 96 finished in Pinot Noir for $220.
that's
There you go. I mean, that's why you know, probably priced too low for this, and especially with Costco. I think they wanted what, Mitch, like 10,000 cases, which we don't have available right now. But you know, they love this stuff, and I can see why. I mean, it's grade 18.
Question: since we're talking about Costco, do they demand any sort of a discount as opposed to the smaller retailers or the distributors, or however that works?
They generally work on a lower margin. Is what they
Gotcha.
do.
That's all
Yeah.
it is.
Yep, they work on, sometimes half of what a normal retailer will work on margin wise. So that's why they're, they're not getting it at a lower price. They're just working on a lower margin.
That's why they want the quantity.
Yep.
It's a well-known fact that Costco makes most of their money off of memberships.
Yeah.
Wow, this is exceptional for an 18-year-old. This is great.
Yes.
And nice to see it at 46. So many brands have their core lineup 18 at like 43, or even some drop it down to 40, which
Yeah, again, I mean, everything we're tasting through is 46 up, except for that first one, the original, and everything else is 9 chill filtered, which you don't have to, when you're that proof, you don't have to chill filter it. So that's one of the things.
So why even put out an expression that you have to? Isn't the chill filtering equipment kind of a pain? Why like if everything else not, why buy the equipment for one expression?
I guess because it's a pretty high volume expression that the original is. So just because where it's priced, you sort of have the pyramid effect from pricing from the bottom, and the higher up, more expensive. So and again, I think there's there probably going to be some more that we end up moving to do into the chill filtration, like that are going to be these sort of lower priced ones, and special different markets, groceries. I think some over in Europe, I want to say, they want 80 proof because the higher the proof, also the higher the taxes. So I mean, and that's another thing to keep in mind, is that even though we're higher proof, and which translates to higher taxes, to coming in at a lower cost despite that, I mean, it really shows that that we're we've just gotten very aggressive on our pricing.
Forbes, I apologize. Somebody might have said that in the past with the over 100 virtual tastings that we've done.
Yeah,
that's the first time I remember somebody saying higher tax on higher proofs, and
yes.
that is in all is it in the EU or specific countries?
Well, I mean, it is in the US as well. I mean,
Really?
we pay, we pay, everything's based on
Proof.
Proof. Yeah.
Well, I learned something today. Thank you.
Yes.
The minute it goes over, the minute it goes over 100, I think it takes an increase.
Well, there's
higher proof is worth every cent of extra tax.
Yeah, there's a formula that you use to calculate the taxes. Like generally for 80 proof, it's $2.14 a bottle for a 750 is the federal tax. So sometimes, like with some of these blends that are coming in, that the taxes are more than the actual juice, which is crazy if you really think about it. But then so it's $2.14 per bottle for 750 at 80 proof. And then if you end up going to 100 proof, for example, you have to multiply that by 1.25, because 80 is 25% higher than or 100 is 25% higher than 80. So then then it just, so that's how that works out.
Yeah, I think that I can understand it, because one of the books by Fred Minnick, Bourbon, the Rise and Fall, talks about the very beginning in the United States that they looked at whiskey as a massive revenue source. I mean, huge tax windfalls.
Yes, I mean, when you buy a bottle of scotch, I mean, it's been taxed so many times. I mean, first of all, it's been taxed at the federal level, then it's been taxed at the state level, and then you're going to pay sales tax on top of it when you buy it. So when when you're to break it down, you wouldn't want to know how much of actually that bottle is going to taxes. But that's just, it's like gas. It's just the way that it's system set up. And here in the US, we have a 3-tier system, which means it's taxed 3 times.
But just to be clear, it's not a higher tax rate. It's just the tax is based on the amount of alcohol in the bottle. Is that right?
If the higher the proof, the higher the tax.
Yeah, but is it higher tax rate or just more taxes?
It's a higher rate. Like, as I mentioned, you take 80 proof, for 750 is $2.14 a bottle. I'm just talking the federal tax. Every state has got its own separate tax rate. California, actually, believe it or not, has one of the lower tax rates when it comes to state tax on liquor. So, but, as I mentioned, but if for the one we're going to, taste next, which is the 50, what's it's 50 proof, I want to say 50.2. So 50.2 divided by 40, then you multiply that by 2.14. So that's going to be, $2.69 tax per bottle, as opposed to $2.14 tax per bottle on the first one we tasted tonight, the 80 proof.
Right. So it's based on the amount of alcohol. It's not a higher tax rate. It's just you pay more because you're getting more alcohol.
Well, I mean, I guess you can look at it two ways. I mean, it's a higher rate. You're taking that 2.14 number, and the higher the proof, you're multiplying it by a number greater than 1.
Well, the 2.14, 2.1 is 4. Is that what you said? I think that's to Kate's point, that multiplier is the same, which is the rate. It's just
that's the
that
same
rate
right.
is on top of the amount of proof.
Right. 2.1 base rate for 80 proof, 750 ml bottle of liquor, period. And then the proof, if it goes down, I guess, if it's 70 proof, it's going to be less than that. If it's 90 proof, it's going to be above that. And, and that's per bottle. And then, but then when you multiply that by a case, then, then it can have a pretty significant impact. So that's what I was getting back to my point with everything that we're tasting tonight being 46% and above, it translates into higher, taxes, federal taxes. But states don't pass on the state taxes are usually always the same, regardless of the proof.
Yeah, we've got some comments in the chat here.
Okay.
It looks like some folks from Washington, and trust me.
Oh yeah,
I've done Washington. You guys are just.
Washington is the worst, is the highest.
Brutal.
Oregon's right behind it. Yes. So there's no question that I mean, I want to say, I think like California is $3 and something a proof gallon, and Washington is 30 per proof gallon. So maybe 10 times roughly the state tax that California has. So huge difference, obviously. So.
Well, at least they can go to Oregon and stock up tax-free.
Oregon's got high taxes too.
And no sales tax.
No, maybe no sales tax, but they still get hit with the higher liquor tax there. But
yeah, there's some liquor stores on the state line of California that a lot of residents from Oregon will go across the border and buy in California because they save money.
Oh wow, good to know. Yeah, we're pretty spoiled in California. We're very lucky. Good, really great selection. Pretty.
Yes, I mean, and that was one of the things that Washington was a control market, until I guess about 8 or 9 years ago when they voted to become an open market. Oregon's a control market where everything's run by the state government. So, and then a lot of these control markets, they don't have nearly the selection that open market like California has. So, California can bring in anything. A store can buy whatever it wants, but in these other markets, the state government, controls what brands are available to the consumers. And, North Carolina is having a terrible time right now because that's a control state that really hasn't, has really been, I think, suffering from the price, from the supply chain, and they're out of stock on so many different items right now. But California is an open market. Excuse me.
Who's ready?
Every state has got its own, it's like its own country when it comes to its liquor laws. It's interesting, but it's very confusing also because it's really tough to keep all the laws and all the different nuances with all their different laws straight. When you go from, especially me, when I work all over the country and work in all the different states, it's hard to know, especially some of these control markets, how they operate, because even the control states, which I think there are about 17 of, all operate completely separate from one another as well. So, all right. So ready to move on to the 20. Any other, Mitch, I don't know if there are any other questions here on this.
No, I think we're ready.
Okay.
Good. My first question on the 20 is going to be, it's at 50%. Is that cast strength or is that still brought down to 50?
It's brought down a little bit.
Okay. Got all excited there for a second.
Yeah. Yep, 52, so 100, 100.4 proof. So this is, as I mentioned earlier with the British Open, I mean, it's not like the Masters where it's played at the same course every year. It's like our US Open. So every year played different. And each year we come out with a different, a course collection. So it's something specific to that course. I know you can't see it. I don't know if you can see it, Vadim, on you have the box there with the outline of the golf course on the.
I don't have it in front of me. I can go grab it if needed. Or
I've got one here.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to show you just because it's really kind of unique how the carton is and on the back of it with the golf course and everything.
Yeah, it's a beautiful box. You want to show oh, there we go. You said the back has the golf course?
Where is it? Is it on the side of it?
I don't see it.
Well, you've got like a whole list of the different.
Okay, maybe that's what it's got. It's got sometimes they've got the outline of the course. That one's got all the champions on the side. So, but each one is specifically made for the different golf courses. And those of you that again may not be up to speed with everything going on in golf, next year is going to be the 150th British Open played at the old course of St. Andrews, which is basically the birthplace of golf. So that's going to be probably one of the biggest, publicized British Opens ever. So, something kind of also unique with these, you'll notice that, that the one we tasted from 2019, the British Open in Northern Ireland was at a green box. And, the one we're looking at right now has got a red box because it was played in England. So, the English flag is red and white, and the Scottish flag is blue and white. So next year you can definitely I'd be willing to bet that the box is going to be blue, sort of based on the flag colors of the country where it's played.
That's funny because I realized when I was pouring these, I couldn't see the date on them. I couldn't see, I don't think that actually has the year. You just have to know. And
right, you gotta
go by the number.
Yeah, the only ones that's going to have the year on it will be, will be this one, the course collection, where it's going to say the 149th Open, Royal St. George's, which was this year. And next year will be the big one. But so this, Darren Clark, as I mentioned, this is he's another one of our brand ambassadors. He's from Northern Ireland. He's won the British Open before. Big Scotch drinker. So this is sort of his baby. This one. This is this retails. Where's this retailing, Mitch, out there?
Stand by. Let me.
All right.
250. I saw it just over 200. No.
250.
There you go. Quite the treat.
And how many? Do you know how many cases of this, Mitch? You got this is packed only 3 bottles to a case.
Right. It's 3 packs. I've got, I received 15 cases in Southern California. They sold out the first week.
Yep.
And then we've got another 15 in Northern California. So very limited supply.
Yes. What do you guys think of this? Can you pick up the, can you taste the additional strength to it a little bit? Yes.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I like how the nose is still muted. It tells you the oils are keeping a lot of that ethanol, the extra strength actually in the liquid. So it's not until you get the taste that you actually find it.
So Mitch, I'm looking at one of the questions here about where you can find the cast with the height, let's see, the cast strength Loch Lomond. I guess is that you mean this one? I'm guessing this is the highest ABV we've tasted through so far. Mitch, which stores have brought in this 20-year?
Mission Liquor, Remedy Liquor, High Times, and KNL.
Usual suspects, huh?
Yep, they swooped up everything we had before it could even really get out anywhere. So.
This is phenomenal. This is so good.
Yeah.
This is really exceptional. Yeah, I can see you guys need to release more high proof stuff. Your juice really shines.
Well, that's why we, we have a pretty good, or at least we right now we do it being spread out all over the country, but with our single cast, like what we're going to taste through, next, obviously everything that comes out of that are all cast strength, and those are all, what's the strength on that? But yes, definitely our high proof stuff is very good.
And where do your single casks land as far as price goes? Are they?
Well, Mitch, you could probably, I don't know if you have I mean, they're definitely very reasonably priced. And we did, I think we've had to adjust them since the tariff was
pricing on the private cask, is that what we're inquiring about? Bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're gonna probably come in retail around $89.99.
Yeah.
Possibly $74.99, just in that realm there. I always like to lean a little bit higher just to surprise you when you find it for less.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like the Loch Lomond single cast that we were tasting through, that that landed during the tariff, so that came in, obviously a little bit higher. Is everybody ready for the finale here with the single cask?
Let's do it.
Okay, well, I guess this was really one of the first couple single casts we sold was to a account in Gordon's in Boston, where he bought a single cask of both Loch Lomond and Glen Scotia, and this is definitely one of the favorite drams I've ever had from Loch Lomond. So that's why when Mitch said, "Do you have anything special?" I actually had a couple extra bottles of this at the house because my sister lives in Boston, and I had her pick up some bottles for me over the summer. And then when I was up in Maine for the summer, we drove back and was able to bring these back. And I'm very glad to have a little bit of supply of this, because this is just some really superb sort of specimen of what we produce out of the single cast. So this one here is it 108 proof? So yeah, just under 108 proof. So this is a 2004. So it's bottled in 2019. So this is a 15 year. And you can see the color of this when you compare it. As definitely the darkest, I'm sure, right?
So is this a single malt or is it a blend?
Single malt. Yeah, we're doing all single malts tonight.
I don't have a bottle in front of me. Vadim, I don't know if you do. We've got a question here, what the cask number is?
I don't have one in front of me now. I can look into it later.
The cask number is 156244.
Oh, okay. So that's the one I had too. It was great.
Yeah. 252 bottles in this cask.
Okay, this is really
shows what a
nice.
little extra proof can do to really punch things up.
Yes.
A little extra tax and a little extra proof. All
right. Yeah, like I said, I think this was maybe like 119 a bottle, but that's with the tariff, and with Massachusetts has got higher state taxes also in California. So a lot of it depends on that local and state tax level as well. So what's everybody's favorite so far tonight?
I'm glad you should ask. Let's find
Yeah.
out.
Wait, yeah.
Well, bam,
Oh, look at that.
everything's efficient.
Yes, very impressive. This is the first I've seen this.
Thank you.
Vadim knows how to run these virtual tastings.
Yes, definitely.
So the one thing that since these are recorded, what we do, Forbes, is we'll actually kind of announce which ones won, because in the recordings, they don't show the poll results.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure everybody goes and votes.
Yes, so please do vote.
Also, as we do the voting, make sure you
Yes.
vote. But those who aren't on camera, who are hiding, let's take a second. Hopefully you still have a little bit of dram in your glass. Hop on camera, raise a glass, get Elijah, get Brendan, get Kate, get Sean back on camera. Mark. There you go. So yeah, so raise a glass. I want to say thank you to Mitch and Forbes and Loch Lomond for joining us here tonight. This has been absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed learning about this brand and tasting some of the spirit. First of many tastings to come. So
Yes.
cheers to you. Thank you so much. Everyone raise a glass, smile towards your camera. Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, everyone make sure you vote in the poll. We got 6 people who haven't voted. I'll give you another second, and then I will let Mitch and Forbes actually take a guess of what they think was the favorite tonight. Did you two vote?
Yes.
Yeah, I voted.
Awesome.
I'm gonna know. My guess would be probably the last one. I feel like this group is a high proof junkies, but we'll see.
Well, there's one particular person who's a high proof junkie.
I
Forbes?
resemble Ember Mark.
Yes, you do, Loki, Lomond.
But well, we'll see. We'll see the results. I'm not going to say anything.
Forbes, what do you think? Yeah, do you agree with Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I think that I'm guessing either the single cask or the 12.
Either the single cask or the 12, you said?
Those are my guesses.
It's interesting. The 20 is not far off on the single cask on the proof, right? Nobody's
Right.
going for that one. And it's an expensive bottle. You would think that'd be the
Yeah, I don't.
favorite. But all right, your votes are in.
I mean, I guess part of it, and some people, I don't know if they vote by the best, taste, versus price, or if it's all taste driven and there's no price.
taste.
All taste. Okay.
Yeah.
Then probably the single cask. Yeah, but either the 20 or either the 20 or the single cask.
All right, well, your first guess was spot on. 12 or single cask. Interesting. But yeah, Mitch, you got it on the dot. The single cask is the winner tonight. So we got 44% voted for the single cask, 39% voted for the 12 year. So pretty close, 7 or 8 votes.
Yeah.
And the rest were 2 votes for the 20 and then 1 vote for the 18. Wow. So yeah, that's fantastic. I'm really impressed at how well the 12 did. Clearly, you're doing something right there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and again, especially when you think of where that's priced, at a quarter of the price of the single cask. So that's why that's really that's why I'm not surprised with that. But the single cask really is, like I said, it's my favorite of really one of any of the Loch Lomans. I think that
It goes down so smoothly. I was
Yeah.
really surprised by that.
Yeah.
Would you say most single casks from Loch Lomond are this good, or is this a standout?
Again, we haven't had that many that have come over. I mean, I've tasted some of the different samples. This one, I guess maybe it's just special because it's the first one we brought over. But I mean, there's something just really unique. The first time I tasted this, I was like, this one is just really good. But I mean, they're all, I don't, maybe it's just the barrels that we use for this. Just something with this really sort of sticks out, resonates well with me. I'm not sure what it is, but
Well, being a single cask, you would think it would just be the one barrel, no? Or
yeah.
I mean, bourbon.
I mean, just there's something just with I don't know. I I wish I could tell you what it is. I just love it.
Well, I mean, this is exceptional. It's
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
And look, I'd never looked out for Loch Lomond before, and I know I'm going to be on the lookout for any single cast to come through. So thank you for this introduction. This was
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes. Well, we're going to try to, Mitch will work on getting something out there soon. I know you got the Glen Scotia that you're working on, but yeah, we need to get a Loch Lomond one out there as well.
Mitch, you mentioned that one of the retailers out here is likely to get a single cask of this.
So, yeah, we're working on it.
Okay.
We're waiting on a couple of barrel samples to present to the accounts, and not only we've got a Glen Scotia barrel coming to California, and we also have a Loch Lomond barrel that's got a cognac finish that I'm really excited about. My counterpart in Northern California got first dibs on that one, but I'm trying to convince him to maybe sell it to K&L so that they can split it up between NorCal.
Nice. Good move.
Exactly.
We
Good
support this.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. One thing I will add, I know not a single person voted for it, and I get it. We had a pretty compelling couple of single malts tonight. But if you have a collection of multiple of scotches, that, to me anyway, that 2019, which I know tonight we called it the 2020. I know some people said they were picking up a lot of mint and what have you. It's just so unique and so different. I've had a lot of people who are like, I need another bottle of scotch, like I need another hole in my head. But this is so obscure and so different that they'll bring it on and have it just because it's just super fun and super different. And that's why I love those annual releases of the open edition, just because there's just so much creativity there and such a unique expression.
Where'd you find that bottle, Mitch?
High Times has some.
Okay.
Remedy has some. There's and then I've got, a couple little honey holes throughout LA that, some of these little one-off mom and pop stores that have a pretty great selection.
Good.
All the Vendomes in all the Los Angeles County area are big Loch Lomond and Glen Scotia supporters. The Liquor Fountain, which is a really random store in the middle of Hollywood, for those of you who are in that area. There's a number of others. And we do some stuff with Winehouse and Wally's as well.
Very cool. Yeah, great retailers all around.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Wally's, did they go? I know they had their Glen Scotia cask, right?
Yeah, and they still have some available. So
okay.
There
there is some Glen Scotia in a cask in Wally's that just arrived a few months ago.
I'm doing it's a 46. I just found an independently bottled Loch Lomond 19-year-old, but sadly it's also at 46 in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, Forbes and Mitch, this has been really a lot of fun. I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with the single cask. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to kind of experience the brand. I think you guys are doing great work out there. And I think that Vadim, are you teasing the fact that you and Mitch are talking about doing another one of these? Because this would be a lot of fun. So this is great. So Forbes, we are definitely supporters of producers that do have quality product. And I think that you've definitely shown that you have that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I know it's a lot of work to be able to get it out here. And I also know that the majority of the people that are on this virtual tasting are regulars and also have really amazing palates. So if they're giving you compliments and accolades, I think that's
that's great,
deserved. And we're looking forward to seeing how things kind of develop. I think one of the even though the distillery there's been a distillery in the location for a very, very long time, the current iteration of the distillery is somewhat new. Is that a correct statement?
Well, as far as
the four, stills, the fermentation style.
Oh yeah. A lot of that is sort of come on. We've made some major improvements with it since the purchase 7 years ago, and have been improving bringing in more stills and so forth. I wasn't exactly sure what you meant as far as, the actual like the actual site of the location, but yes. And that's something we continue to do is improve the, the facility, improve the stills, and I'm constantly, keeping things up to date. And that's certainly was one of the big MOs with, with the initial acquisition 7 years ago, was to look at ways to make a great, historical sort of distillery even better.
And I didn't hear or see that you guys have like a visitor center, or is there anything that
Loch Lomond, it's I think we're working towards that. It's still not open to the public. So it's, and it's kind of, it's funny because it's kind of got this sort of, reputation around, locally. It's kind of like that Willy Wonka chocolate factory is what people think about it. They know some unbelievable things go on behind those walls, but they don't know what, because it hasn't been open. I think that's something, now with the brand really starting to pick up and getting a lot more global recognition. We have more and more people that want to come see for themselves, what goes on, behind those walls. So, I mean, we're working on having a visitor center, with Glen Scotia, we have that down in Campbelltown. We're working on it with Loch Lomond. I mean, now it's just appointment only. If you contact Mitch or me, if you're over there, we still give plenty of tours. It's just not sort of a, it's by appointment only, I guess, as opposed to sort of walking up and, knocking on the front door type of thing.
Well, we do have a lot of members that are, are really looking forward to opportunities to kind of travel. I know it may be a little limited, but there is a lot of pent up travel energy. And I think that there are folks, I think I see Phil and Nelly.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you're there right now. I mean, I recognize, that number 5, they got those signs up everywhere. I think there's about 12 of those all around the distillery, and they're very, informative. And, that's one of the things that wasn't there the first time I went there. But now, I think I took pictures of them because they all have so much information and all the specifics. Some people want to know have real sort of technical questions. And I'm looking at that number 5 sign behind you, and that's what all of those have. So it's a great picture you have, however you got that one.
Well,
great backdrop.
It'll be great if you do have a visitor center in Loch Lomond sometime in the future. I know it could be a couple of years away, but it is our hope that we will definitely have at least one more of these virtual tastings and maintain a very good relationship with you guys.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. This has been absolutely fantastic. The liquid was great and got better with every dram. Although I stand corrected, a lot of people felt the 12 was better. So all of these are fantastic, and we really enjoyed the education and getting to learn about this brand that a lot of us haven't tried before. So with that said, thank you so much. We want to be respectful of your time. I know you're traveling probably for work. So if you got to head out, we understand. I'm going to hit stop on the recording, and then anyone who wants to hang out is welcome to just chill and finish off their drams and hang out. But Mitch, Forbes, everyone in the group, thank you very much for being here tonight. We look forward
to everybody.
Thanks, Forbes.
Great night,
guys.
Thanks, everybody.